Hello, this is Mad Cat, the angry egalitarian that discusses this and that. And today is another edition of Mad Cat Smash. Ah! I'm seeing myself right now doing that. It's just so funny. 37. And remember, feminism, you may have the upper hand now, but we won't go so quietly, and we'll get the upper hand eventually. All right. So, as you can see, I'm not doing this from my room. I'm doing this from another part of the wonderful house that I'm living in. And I may actually start doing some of the videos from here, depending if I can ever get my computer to work again. So, and I like it because, well, there's not that much reflection in my glasses, so you can actually see my eyes. I don't have to go like this. Anyways, so we'll periodically be showing the video when I want to do my crazy rants. Let's go ahead and get started with today's show. While I'm doing this, I have figured out the problem with my computer. My computer crashed again this past weekend, and I've figured out the problem, ordered a part, and let's hope that we can get it working again. So, starting off today. Now, this just came to me today. In fact, it was created yesterday, it appears. Here, let me zoom this up for you. Voice equality on public social media services. Petition published by Voice Equality. Now, I don't know who started this, but I just want to go through this real quick. Now, this petition is for different positions across the not across the United States, across the world. And you can actually view the links down in my description bar below my usual garbage goop. So there's one for the US, one for Canada, one for the UK, one for Australia, and then if you don't live in any of those parts, there's one that's for global for everywhere else. So be sure to check those out. So I'm just going to read through this real quick before we get started with the articles. Because this is very, very important. Voice Equality is an online campaign that has been designed to advocate for the protection of freedom of speech and equal voice rights on the internet. We petition for the institution of government regulation ensuring equal voice rights to individual users of public social media services provided by various companies. Examples of such provided public social media services include, but not limited to, Google, Facebook, Twitter, etc. We petition that should a company provide a public social media service or multiple such services, allow for any opinion and or platform on any specific issue and or subject be freely argued, expressed, or otherwise voiced without fear of losing their account, be held accountable for assuring that any and all other opinions and or platforms on the same specific issue be equally allowed to be argued, expressed, or otherwise voiced without fear of losing account as well, thereby providing equal voice rights. So that's the basic meat of this. I'm sure you can go ahead and pause this and read the rest. You can go to this website right here, although someone told me that they are trying to get voiceequality.com, so be sure to look out for that in the future. So we can go ahead and sign this petition, and just to show you that I put my money where my mouth is, there's my signature, number 1. And I'm sure you're saying, well, I guess that means you did this, Mad Cat, right? No, I wish I did. I wish I could take credit for this, but I did not do this. But here's my comments. So long as something said is not an attempt to incite harm or an act of a crime, then it should be allowed to be spoken and able to be seen by a greater whole. It takes words to inspire ideas and ideas to inspire action. Why silence something just because you disagree? Unless, of course, you don't wish for the world to become a better place to live. I believe those words exactly. So we'll flash to this at the end of my show today, but go to voiceequality.wordpress.com. Although pretty soon it'll probably be just voiceequality.com. Check out or go to my listing down below. You'll see your individual country or your individual place you live, and if you don't, go to everywhere else. And be sure to sign this petition. Please share this out with everyone because this is very important, especially with what we're seeing with Twitter now, with this whole coalition where we can just block, where people can be shadow banned. That is unacceptable. Same thing with Reddit, shadow banning. We've got to stop this sort of thing. So this is why this petition is so important. We need to really do this. Now, so, check it out, sign it, and share it with everyone you know. Let's go ahead and start today's show. Well, this is embarrassing. Yeah, being on my laptop, it's like a very stupid machine. So that's rich. Women decline to date men who earn less, however good looking. Come on, load ups. Ooh, nice pair of tits on that one. Sorry. So I do find this funny that this is talking about women only dating rich men, and the guy's name is Chris Riches. I just think that's funny. 60% of the 2,000 women surveyed by London dating app The Inner Circle admitted refusing a second date with a guy after finding he had a lower salary than them. However, men were less concerned with cash, as 96% of them told researchers they were not bothered if a female date was bigger, earning high flyer. So this is a good start because this is something we've kind of always known, but it's like now actual research has been done on this. 60% of 2,000 women. So what is that? I can't do math right now. So yeah, 60%. That if they find out that the guy that they're with doesn't make more money than they do, they won't go on a second date with them. And that's kind of sad. I'm mostly a straight guy, but damn, he's good looking. Scrolling. When it comes to going Dutch, 75% of women admitted offering to pay towards a first date meal, but only half of men looking for love say they would expect the other to split the expense from their female date. And men do suggest going halves, maybe doing it at their own risk, the independent research uncovered. And men that do suggest. As 41% of the women admitted they would definitely refuse a second date with a man if he expected to chip in for the restaurant bill. So basically, 60% won't go on a second date with a man if they make less than them. 41% won't go on a second date with a man if they're required to pay for their meal. But 50% of men, or it's about half, so let's say 50%, expect that a woman should pay for half of the date, which I think, that's why I definitely think on this one. David Vermeulen, the founder of the Inner Circle, an invitation-only dating site. How does that work? Invitation only? Does that mean I can't get invited because I don't live in London? The moment the bill arrives on a first date can always be a very tricky situation. I may be from the Netherlands, but I would never go Dutch on a date. It's just not the done thing. It's just not the done thing where I am from. However, I have found that women in London are very independent and do sometimes like the option of contributing to the bill at the end of the date. My advice would be always offer to pay in the first instance, and if the lady insists on contributing, then, of course, allow her to do so. This is a bullshit article. Well, this part right here is so bullshit. It's just confirming, oh, men, you should be paying for the date automatically. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's just what you have to do. So fuck you, David. Fuck you. But this information is really telling. Something we always known, but this kind of confirms what we always know. 60% of women will not go on a second date with a man if they make less than them. So, guys, if you want to go on a date with a girl and you want a second date, be sure she makes less money than you. Do not bother going on a date with a woman who makes more money than you. Now, they might be willing to pay for half, but 41% of women who have to pay for half will probably not go on a second date with you. So, date a woman who makes less money than you and pay for the entire meal. So I'm surprised they didn't report on, if, a meal costs a certain amount of money. If that actually makes a difference or not. Because I'm sure going to like Burger King for a date is probably not kosher. But, going out to an expensive restaurant, that also has an effect. But, here's my thing, if you really want to like have a good time with someone, get an escort, in all honesty. I mean, you're going out on a date, you're paying for everything already, and there's no guarantee of sex. And yes, I know escorts technically don't have sex with people, but we all know they do. All right. And at least then you're getting something. All right. So, yeah. But the only good news as I can say is that 40% of women don't care about how much a man makes. So there's hope for you. And 60% don't 75% don't mind splitting the bill. And 60% of women will go out on a date with a guy again if they go half. So I'm going to assume that 60% of that 75% who go halvesies on a bill is willing to go on a second date with a guy. So there's some hope there. There's some promise there. Okay, I'm not going to say that it's like all over and you should go MGTOW right this second, even though you should. But, because, well, I'm not MGTOW yet. I'm getting there, but not just yet. There's hope. There is some hope out there. So let me go ahead and check the comments now. Nothing. No one loves me. I'm going to cry. All right, let's move on with today's show. And yes, I'm still recording. All right, good. Last time I stopped recording in the middle of it, I didn't realize it. The University of Texas has a blueprint to stop campus cops from blaming rape victims. Oh, this can't be good. I need to wait for it to load up. While we do that, a new guide created by the University of Texas researchers and campus police could significantly, oh, sure, go all the way to the bottom. Bastards. Slow ass computer. Wish I had my desktop. Okay. A new guide created by the University of Texas researchers and campus police could significantly improve how law enforcement responds to rape cases involving college students. The blueprints for campus police, developed by the UT Austin Institute of Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, lays out a victim-centered process designed to increase successful prosecution of offenders and vastly reduce the trauma such crimes can have on survivors. The document, to be released Tuesday, so I guess yesterday, was primarily created for 600 UT campus police officers, but it's being published so any agency can adopt it. What we're asking campuses to do is lead the nation in a cultural shift, said the Institute director Noel Bush Armendariz. She said that the document was the best way a major research university could serve the public. No, it's not, honestly. Heightened public attention in college sexual assault in recent years often has focused on how universities have mishandled rape cases. Activists have said that they believe police often fail to believe assault victims or aggressively investigate. These law enforcement shortcomings often allow perpetrators to go unpunished. Yeah, I'm sure activists have said that. What about non-activists? What have they said? Maybe you should be talking to other people as well. Maybe you should be looking at the fact that there's false rapes that occur, false rape accusations that occur. Yeah, you're not bothering looking at that, are you? The 174-page blueprint addresses neurobiology and trauma, rape myths, the role of alcohol and drugs, the college hookup culture, victim-blaming language, forensic interviewing, and false reports. Oh, I guess they did cover false reports. My mistake. Sorry, everyone. It was developed alongside an ongoing 1.7 million four-year study on college campus sexual assaults at the UT system. I wasn't able to get access to this. I'll try to look at this later to see what this really said. But you have to know this is bullshit. It's written after bullshit. Michael Hedixford, the UT System Police Director, said it's important for his officers to adopt a victim-centered approach that is science-based and trauma-informed. A victim-centered approach. Who fucking cares about innocent until proven guilty? No, we have to focus on the victims of the crime. And if the victim says someone did something bad, then you better believe the person is guilty. Fuck due process. Let's focus on the victims. Now, I'm not saying that we should be awful to victims, but it shouldn't be a victim-centered approach. That is the dumbest thing I've heard of. In this country, we have innocent until proven guilty. Not guilty, and that's it. And that's what this approach is going to do. It's going to teach police officers that if a woman reports rape, then he has to be guilty. Don't believe me? Let's continue reading. The blueprint doesn't analyze UT police practices, but Heidesfield acknowledged that law enforcement traditionally has not invested sexual assault cases in the best manner. Law enforcement in general needs to ensure everything humanly possible to ensure that our response to sexual assault victims is both holistic and restorative. The police are not there to restore victims. That's not their fucking job. The police's job when it comes to the reporting of a crime is to get all of the details and to investigate. They're not supposed to be there to be like, oh, you got raped? Oh, that's so unfortunate. Well, here's $100,000. I hope that heals you. I know they're not asking for money, but come on. So let's look at some of the common rape myths that this document has. If a girl is raped while drunk, she's at least somewhat responsible for letting things get out of control. Well, that depends. If a man is fully responsible for everything that happens, even while drunk, then at the very least, a girl is partially responsible for the outcome of things, even if she's drunk. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If a girl acts like a slut, eventually she's going to get into trouble. Well, there's some reasonable conclusion to draw from that. Yes, if a girl is very promiscuous and, just keeps putting herself in a line of danger, then yes, danger's going to catch up with her. However, I'm not saying that a slut deserves to be raped. I'm just saying if you constantly put yourself into a situation in which you could be raped, you're likely going to be raped. Guys don't usually intend to force sex on girls, but sometimes they get too sexually carried away. Okay, I could see that as happening. Why is that a fucking myth? Are you saying that when a guy rapes a girl, it's always intentional? No matter what, if a guy commits rape, that's what he intended to do. That is fucking bullshit. You can't say that all guys are like that. Now, yes, there are some guys out there, actually a lot of guys who commit rape. It is that they wanted to rape. But there are still a percentage of guys out there who committed rape by the feminist standard, of course, that wasn't intending to commit rape. If a guy is drunk, he might rape someone unintentionally. Well, this again is going to the fact that a guy is fully responsible for his actions when intoxicated. But a girl is not. If she gets behind the wheel of a car and runs someone over while drunk, she's responsible. But if she has sex with a guy and later claims that she was raped, she's not responsible for her actions. Only a guy is responsible for his actions while drunk. And that's what that statement is saying. If a girl doesn't physically resist rape, even if protesting verbally, it can't be considered rape. Where the fuck did you get this? Who in the fuck said anything like that? If the accused rapist doesn't have a weapon, you can't really call it rape. Where are you getting this? A lot of times, girls who say they were raped agree to have sex and then regret it. Yeah, that fucking happens. A lot of times. I fucking agree with that, and that's not a fucking myth. That is a truth that is covered up by feminists because they want to support the narrative that men need to be taught not to rape. and girls knowingly have sex with guys, and it has been proven that this happens because many of them come back later and said that they made up the charges because they didn't want to tell their fathers, they didn't want to tell their boyfriends, you know, for this reason or that reason. It fucking happens. And ignoring it doesn't fix anything. Rape accusations are often used as a way of getting back at a guy. Often? No. But it does happen. You see the trick words that they're using in here? So they're basically saying, well, it doesn't often happen, to get people to think that it never happens. If both are drunk, it can't be rape. Well, if a girl's not responsible for her actions when she is raped, when she has sex, I apologize. If a girl is not responsible for her actions and then has sex, then a guy cannot be responsible for his actions. Could it still be rape? Yes, it can be rape. But if both people were intoxicated, then neither of them were responsible for their actions, or both of them were responsible for their actions. You can't have it both ways. If a girl initiates kissing or hooking up, she should not be surprised if a guy assumes she wants to have sex. Well, I kind of agree with that. If a girl says, hey, you want to stick your dick in my pussy? And he's like, yeah, and starts to do it. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't say you could do it. I just said, do you want to do it? When she's already naked, sprawled across the covers. Oh, he raped her even though she gave every indication that she wanted sex. And more than likely, she won't even say anything to him and then go and later be like, well, he raped me. Well, did you initiate it? Well, yeah, but I didn't want him to have sex with me. And that is considered legitimate. Still no comments. If you're watching, please leave a comment either in the chat or down below. The blueprint includes data showing sexual assault is underreported and campus cases are typically between acquaintances. It includes reasons why victims don't report, such as embarrassment, fear of being believed. How about fear of not being believed? Or having to testify in court. The blueprint warns officers against mistaking a victim's fragmented memories as lying or evasiveness. Officers should know it's common for victims to not have visible physical injuries. Okay, you know, that's something I can sort of agree with. I mean, yeah, there are reasons why victims don't report. But what we should be doing is encouraging victims to report it. You know, it's the bullshit of don't report it that really gets me. And I understand that there are reasons why women don't want to report their rape. They're embarrassed by it. You know, they're afraid that they won't be believed. But I'm sorry. What we should be doing is telling women to report it. If they report it and then they're not taken seriously, they have a leg to stand on. If they don't report it and then still complain about being raped, well, then I have no sympathy for you. Oh, the police won't believe me. That's why I didn't report it. Bullshit. You didn't report it because it didn't actually happen. And that's crass of me to say, but that's what my thoughts are. I mean, the whole Keisha thing is like, well, he raped me. I should be allowed out of my contract. Why didn't you go to the fucking police? We'll talk about Keisha in a little bit, but the crown jewel to this research effort for us is now having the science to understand neurobiology, victimology, and apply that to how the victim presents themselves to the police, to police officers, so we can better understand what they are saying. The blueprint notes that the study shows that 2 to 10% of rapes reported to law enforcement are false allegation. Research shows that detectives guessed that 40 to 80% of all cases were false, and that campus police thought that a third were false. Yeah, the 2 to 10%, which was poorly done. The thing is, men's rights activists, we don't know what the actual number is. There have been many studies done. Some have recorded only like 2%, some 10%, some as high as 75%. So there's been a lot of done, and unfortunately, this is something we can't actually know. However, given the fact that, we've had a lot of high-profile rape cases done on public TV, in the media, and turn out to be false, saying that 2 to 10%, I mean, do you know what the chances would be if only 2 to 10% were false, and that we so happen to have the Duke lacrosse team, we had the UVA, and a few of the others all turn out to be false? You know what the chances of that would be if only 2% or 10% were false? That would be astronomical. The fact that we could display these rape cases on TV and they prove to be false would suggest that the percentage is much higher than 10%. Now, is it as high as 40%? Maybe, but I'm willing to go to 25%, that 1 in 4 women who report rape are lying. I don't have anything to substantiate that. That's just based on what I'm seeing, but that's what seems to be the most logical, consistent number we can do. 1 in 4 women reporting rape are lying. Although I'm willing to believe that on college campuses, that's a lot higher. It's probably closer to 40% with college campuses, or somewhere between 40 to 75%. I don't think college rapes are actually all that common, and according to the crime statistics by, oh God, who did that? I know it wasn't the FBI, but someone did some sort of crime statistics and showed that the actual rapes on campuses are actually very low. But you know what? Let's take 10%. Let's say that is true. 10% of all rapes reported to law enforcement are false. Well, it's only 10%. It's not like, because there's 90% that are true. How much is 10%? Well, while rape has been going down over a long period, it's about 88,000. But let's take 10,000, 100,000 rapes. 100,000 rapes done every year, okay? And of that, 10,000 of them are false. And as I always say, if one rape is too many, then one false rape accusation is too many. 10,000 people every year get their lives destroyed because someone is lying about it. Now, I do think that number's a lot higher. Once again, let me check comments. Stag Helmer, good to see you again. Interesting fact, more teen boys than girls feel forced to have sex by peer pressure. Yep, that is very true. Okay, Heidi's Field said UT police will use the blueprint in training new officers and regularly schedule continuing education for the force. UT Austin Research developed the blueprint from existing research and interviews with university presidents, chief of police, communications officials, and frontline police officers around Texas. So existing feminist-based research, I'm willing to bet. and probably hasn't looked into anything that wasn't feminist based. They probably used research that already supported their conclusion, because that's what feminist research does. The blueprint does not address prosecutors who decide whether someone faces charges in a rape. But this person and Heidi's field said that they believe the manual can improve investigations and deliver cases with better chances of successful prosecution. And there you have it, a victim-centered approach to investigating rape, which is none other than listen and believe. I'm sure Anita Sarkeesian will fly down to Texas herself and launch this off, because this is pretty much exactly what the feminists want. Let's believe the victim automatically, and that you are guilty. You're not even guilty until proven innocent, because even if you're proven innocent of the crime, you're still considered guilty. And this is what our world is turning into, and this is the kind of thing that I fight against. So, let's take a different turn today. According to FBI, 20% of DNA tests prove women, not necessarily lie, but accuse the wrong person. That is very interesting. Thank you, Stig. Am I saying that right, Stig? I believe in full equality, but I spent too long watching women play the victim. By Nellie Allard. Okay, this didn't record everything I did, so. All right, so no one would argue that the position of women has not improved during the last few decades, at least in the West. I'd argue that. I think their position has improved dramatically. But let us continue. It is similarly impossible to deny that there is still a long way to go for full equality. Yeah, I would, but my argument probably wouldn't be what you would expect. Even in the countries with the most legal protections for women, shocking numbers of women are still being raped, beaten up, and sometimes killed by abusive men. Oh, yeah? Well, what about the shocking numbers of men who are being raped, beaten up, and sometimes killed by men and women? What about that? What about the shocking number of children being raped, beaten up, and killed by their mothers? What about that? No, you don't concern yourself with that because you're a feminist and you can only see in the lens of what's happening to women today. At work, women are still victims of sexual harassment, and they still earn less than a man for the same work. These are the facts. No, they are not the facts, and they have been proven not to be the facts. But again, this is supposed to be a good article, so let me give her an opportunity to... Oh, stick? Okay. But here's the good news for women. By stopping in the middle of the bridge to full equality, women are sometimes able to invoke both sexist stereotypes and feminist ideals. In other words, to play and win on both sides, to take full advantage of gender-based laws designed to protect women's safety and equality while still reverting, when it's convenient, to long-standing social mores that grant women special treatment. Whoa, is this the same person who misrepresents with the world today and what feminist quotes? She almost sounds anti-feminist at this point. For women today, it's possible to echo the zero tolerance tone being set by the media and whistleblowing Twitter sphere, while still participating in reactionary behavior, playing the role of helpless creature in need of protection or innocent victim and playing it to our advantage. Let me see if I can zoom this up for you. Yeah, it should be good. The realization came to me a long ago when, before becoming a writer, I was studying to become an engineer. I was very good in math and physics and successfully passed entry exams to a highly selective and renowned engineering school in Paris. It was the very beginning of the 1980s, when it was rare to see women embracing and exceeding in such career. If I recall correctly, there were no more than 8 or 10 women among the more than 100 men. Thrown into this unusual environment, I soon realized that in a way I could have my cake and eat it too. In this prestigious program, no one would have dared put in doubt my intelligence and ability, and yet men were still holding doors open for me, complimented me on my looks, and inviting me to restaurants. It was lovely, and I enjoyed it very much. For me, it felt like I could have it both ways: respect as an equal, and yet special treatment as a woman. I thought at the time that the battle for equality was over. We'd won. All my male friends were feminists. We'd run the right to birth control. We were free to pursue careers in any fields or become mothers or both. I could hitchhike across France by myself, racing my boyfriend, and win because drivers, both men and women, would still stop for a woman more often than a man. What more was there to ask? How about actual fucking equality, you stupid cunt? I mean, I know this is supposed to be a positive article, but you were getting privileges. You want equality? Fine. How about you actually fight for equality, huh? You're saying, oh, people were holding doors open for me. People were complimenting me on my looks. People still gave me special privileges as a woman. Equality. That's not fucking equality. Not by a long stretch. Yeah, you might be able to pursue a career. Fantastic. Kudos for you for being able to do something like that in the 1980s. Yeah, no one ever questioned your intelligence. But you know what? You were getting something that men were not getting. And you know what we call that? Inequality. But hey, you got your cake and you could eat it too, right? Then something happened. I felt relationships between men and women harden again as a new kind of feminism appeared. The one described by Elizabeth Banneter in a book that deeply impressed me called, French name I'm not going to say, but it means Dead End Feminism. Far from Simone de Beauvoir, universalism, this new kind of feminism, often referred to essentialists, not only claim for women's equal rights, but additional rights, female-only rights, and the cult of victimhood combined with a refusal to raise the question of female violence and abuse of power in the name of the statistical asymmetry made it now possible and even pretty easy for a woman to turn a man's life into a living nightmare if only she wanted to. Yeah, that's what feminism is. That's what it's always been. Boomram, Beauvoir. Okay. And yeah, it's a Salon article, but it was kind of surprising for a Salon article. That's why I chose to read it. But let's continue. At one point, I even observed this in my own life. I could see how my female friends and I were making huge progress in the professional realm towards equality. I also witnessed several of my male friends go through very difficult times in their personal lives as a result of this double standard. One of them, happily married, had become suddenly very successful in business when out of the blue, he receives a phone call from a woman with whom he had a casual relationship years before, telling him that he was the father of her 8-year-old daughter. She asked him for financial support, which he gave, despite the strain this situation was putting on his marriage, only to discover years later through a DNA test that he was, in fact, not the biological father of the child. Yeah, this didn't start with the new wave of feminism. This has been going on for a very long time. Another one of my friends went through a painful divorce and endured a battle to obtain shared custody of his 3 kids, whom he adored. In an accusation that seemed ludicrous to those who knew him, his ex-wife accused him of mistreating the children. We were horrified to see how a judge, a woman, as is usually the case in the courts dedicated to family issues in France, gave her claims more than the benefit of the doubt, even though her assertions were totally and evidently to everyone else but the judge unfounded. Yeah, this is what happens to men. This is the equality that you fought for. You could have your cake and eat it too, and all of this was going on right under your nose. You got what you want and you stopped fighting. And this is what's happening. Now you're coming to the realization. False accusations aside, the undivided power over procreation held by women for some 40 years now, although legitimate, can turn into gigantic abuse of power that remains largely shrouded in secrecy. I couldn't believe my ears the day my friend Francis confided to me that he always carried his own condoms with him and would never trust one offered to him by his female partner when about to have sex. Horror stories about women secretly piercing contraceptives with a needle in order to get pregnant without their partner's consent are hard to believe, but the simple fact that they are circulating among men tell a lot about how vulnerable those men feel. From where exactly does this vulnerability arise? How about for the fact that it happens? How about that? How about the fact that we hear news stories of women raping men and then the government still holding them accountable for what's it called? Sorry, my mind's gone. For child custody, basically. You know, child support payments. Yeah. Rape victims are being required to pay child support payments. How about the fact of the woman who gave a man a blowjob and then used the sperm from her mouth and got her impregnated and required him to pay child support payments, and the court did it on the basis of he freely gave his sperm to her as a gift. As a fucking gift, and then she could use it however she wanted. You want to know why men are carrying condoms around with them? That's the fucking reason why. Oh my God, it's horrible to think that women could ever do this, but men are doing it, so I wonder why they're doing it. This is what do you even listen to yourself speak? Or retrieving used condoms and swapping the sperm. That has happened. That's why it's one reason why I suggest carry a plastic bag with you, and when you're done using a condom, stick in that plastic bag and make sure you throw it away somewhere that she can't get it. Although some have suggested putting Tabasco sauce in the condom when you're done and throwing it away. Gives her a nice burn. Imagine finding out half old ye came out of a bin. Yeah. Yeah, mommy, how was I born? Well, after your dad ejaculated into a condom and threw away the condom, I retrieved the condom out and then stick the insides of it into my vagina. And that's how you were born. Mommy, am I a trash baby? Yes, son, you are. Now, this woman decides to go into talking about her book, which makes me think that that's what this article really was about. But she basically talks about how there's this man and woman who are married. The woman is the perfect woman. You know, she's dedicated to her 2 young kids, works full times, earns more money than her husband does. Her husband is a photographer, and even though he's a loving and attentive father who does the dishes and is not violent in any way, decides to have an affair with a very malicious woman. The wife finds out about it. He breaks up, but this woman like, I'm going to kill myself unless you come and see me, and blah, 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 blah. And it was surprising to her that everyone hated the male character. And they couldn't care less about the vindictive mistress. So let's read her last paragraph here. All of that said, you might be wondering if I consider myself a feminist. Yes, I do, very much. And it is as a feminist, in the name of all the women who are abused, raped, and forced to become mothers against their will, I feel personally offended when a woman turns a man into a father without his consent, or deprives a loving father from his children, or falsely accuses a man of violence against her, or emotionally blackmails him. False victims, says Juliet in Couple Mechanics, the wife, are the worst enemies of real ones. So, yeah, I mean, this woman, she still doesn't understand what equality means. She loves the fact that, you know, people doted her for being a woman while giving her everything that she wants and saw that as equality. But at least she's recognizing that men are being the victims of modern feminism. So that's a check. You know, at least she's starting to see what the men's rights activists have been talking about for a long time now. But I mean, you still see it. I mean, she may not. She could have been one of those people. It's like, yeah, more rights for women. Yes, mothers should automatically, you know, be parents, and fathers only need to pay, until it was her friends who were suffering. Once it personally affected her, she changed her tune. It was like the feminist who was so staunch feminist and all of that, until her son out of college was accused of rape, and to her surprise was being badly treated, even though he didn't do it. Now, because she was also a lawyer, she, you know, basically got the case thrown out. But it was a surprise to her. It's like, I've been fighting for feminism all these years. When did it turn into this? It was always like that. It was always man hating. It's just because you were not man hating yourself doesn't mean that the rest of the movement wasn't. Huh, this is good. Rambam. Always use your own condoms, then dispose of the contents using Domestos. It kills all the biological material. But Tabasco sauces too. I say, why not both? Domestos, then Tabasco. So, I mean, I guess the thing we can take away, because, I mean, this surprises me it's on Salon, because in a lot of ways, it's very anti-feminist, even though she claims to be a feminist herself. But I think it got on there because someone probably read the first paragraph and it's like, oh, okay, she's fine. Not realizing that it's supporting the men who are being the victims of feminism. Now, maybe she's a feminist like from second wave generation. You know, maybe that's the kind of feminist she is and doesn't agree with modern wave feminism. But it's her wave of feminism that helped create the culture that we now have today. The feminism that exists today is in thanks to second wave feminism. So you might be able to distance yourself from them and say, what the fuck you're doing? You have yourself to blame for this. Once it started affecting your friends, that's when you started caring about what was happening to men. And your own article proves that you didn't care about what happened to men when you in the 1980s because hey, you were getting the good life. And is Keisha lying about being raped by Dr. Luke? Now, I've not really touched this issue as of yet because, well, it's being reported on by a lot of other people already, but this is the first time Dr. Luke has spoken out about it, and I decided to give my 2 cents worth. Ooh, evil mad cat, I like it. Oh. And remember to record the sex, don't drink, and constantly ask for consent. Sex these days. Well, actually, you also need to get her written permission and that there's a witness there. Constantly ask for consent. Do not drink anything at all. And even then, you can still be accused of rape. So, Dr. Luke has finally spoken out about the judge ruling on the controversial rape case filed against him by pop singer Keisha. The music producer recently took to Twitter to defend himself against what he called false rape claims. In a series of tweets, Dr. Luke denied all allegations, saying he neither raped nor had sex with the singer. He added that the judge know all the facts, which is why he did not rule in Keisha's favor. On Friday, a judge refused to release Keisha from her contract with Dr. Luke's Kimosabi Records, even though the star argued that she did not feel safe with the producer and that her career is suffering immensely because she has been unable to record. She has been working with the producer since she was 18. Now, Dr. Luke, or Lucas, that's an interesting way, Gottwald, in real life, is calling the pop singer and her mother liars for allegedly fabricating rape stories to further her own agenda, which I'm likely to believe in all honesty, but let us continue. Supporters of Dr. Luke's produced a video that shows pop singer at a 2011 deposition testifying under oath that the producer never raped her. In the video, Keisha Rose Sabert was asked if Dr. Luke had given her the date rape drug Rohypnol. Keisha was documented saying no to the question. Dr. Luke also shared on his Twitter account a screenshot from the 2011 deposition where the singer denied having intimate relationships with him, which are inconsistent with her present claims. Now, I know what feminists will do at this point. Well, she was forced to do that. She was being threatened. Okay, what's different now than it was back then? If she was being threatened to testify that way, how is she not being threatened now? More than that, she would have had the ability to say it right then and there. Yes, he did this to me, and, get him arrested. But, and even say, he threatened me. And believe me, a lot of people would have believed her on this back then. As you know what? A lot of people are believing her now. But the fact is, she didn't. She claimed under oath that he had not done this, and now claims under oath that he has done this. Which one should we believe? Well, if you ask everyone today, if you ask like all the pop singers out there supporting Keisha, they'd say believe it now, not back then. I'm sorry, but under oath doesn't work like that. You can't lie under oath in one instance and then tell the truth under oath in another instance and automatically be believed, because then under oath means nothing. If she lied under oath, then she's a liar. Plain and simple. The first time she was under oath, she said she wasn't raped. Second time under oath, she is saying that she was raped. Well, you know what? I'm likely to believe that she wasn't raped. But there are other reasons why I actually believe that, which I'll go to in just a moment. Lives can get ruined when there's a rush to judgment before all the facts come out. Look at what happened to UVA, Duke, etc. Dr. Luke tweeted, citing examples of victims of questionable rape accusations. There have been sensational rape cases in the past, some of which shed light as to why some women lie about being raped. The false rape cases revealed that some women concocted rape stories to exact revenge, to get sympathy, to get attention, or because certain mental illnesses. Now, Dr. Luke is also slamming the lawyer, which I won't really read, but he's complaining about defending Scott Peterson and Chris Brown. Here's the thing is when it comes to lawyers, you can't judge them based on who they've defended before. And if you want to know why, then I suggest watching the entire series of The Practice. If you want to know why defense lawyers shouldn't be judged based on who they've defended before, watch that, then come back to me and we can talk. So I don't agree with that sentiment at all. However, Keisha was repeatedly said that filing a rape lawsuit against Dr. Luke has nothing to do with the renegotiation of her record contract. This is about being free from my abuser, she said in a statement she posted on her Facebook page. I would be willing to work with Sony if they would do the right thing and break all the ties that bind me to my abuser. But at this point, this issue is bigger than just me. All right, let me turn my camera on for this one because, I feel ready to be angry. Stop screen share. Here we go. Look. Take my glasses off for this one. Was she raped? Well, we really don't know. I mean, she said under oath that she wasn't. But here's the kicker. If she wanted to be free of her abuser, you know what you do when you want to be free of your abuser? You go to the fucking police. Did she go to the police? As far as I can tell, no. She didn't go to the police. You know why? You know why she didn't go to the police? Because it never happened. She wasn't raped. Maybe she had sex with the guy. Maybe not. But this is all about her contract. That's all what this is about. That is why she's going to a court. She's not going to the police first and reporting that the rape happened. If she had done that, she would have something more to stand on. I would want to know why she didn't report this sooner, because it sounds like this is something that happened when she first met him. And then it kind of seems like to me, it's like, so you stayed with him because he promised you a record deal, even though he raped you? That doesn't make sense. Which actually speaks more to your character. You're making this up, Keisha, all for the purpose of your recording contract. That's all this is. If this was about being raped, if this was about you being raped by this man, you would have gone to the police. You would then report that you went to the police and the police did nothing. Or that you did go to the police and you're asking for people's support. All this is about is you getting what you think you're entitled to, and you're using rape as a way to do it. People like you make me sick. Because there are people in this world today that do get raped, and they don't get believed. And then some prissy little bitch like you comes along and it's like, I was raped. Take me out of my contract. I can't be around this person. Fuck you, you fucking whore. That's all you fucking are. You're doing this for fucking money. You're spitting on all the people that have ever been raped for real in their lives. Just because you want money. Just because you want a better deal. I'm sorry, princess, if you're in a bad contract, but that was your fault for not reading it. It was for your fault for signing into it when you were a stupid 18-year-old girl. I have no sympathy for Kesha, and the fact that so many people, Lady Gaga, I mean, I didn't like Lady Gaga before, but I definitely don't like her now. Although I did like Poker Face for some reason. I enjoy that song. But not anymore. I listen to it now, and all I can think is how much of an idiot you are, Lady Gaga. How you could be so easily duped into believing that this is true, unless you know for a fact that it's not, and you're just trying to help her get out of her contract. But let's go back. Let's take a look at any comments. Yeah, I saw Miss Misogynist take on this. Kesha can get out of this contract. He deliberately a crap album. Oh, by deliberately making a crap album. Did she ever make a good one? Warped reflection. They're only supporting her so they can use it as an excuse to get out of their contracts. Yeah, probably. Rambam. Well, they were deemed good enough by her label to put on the market. Yeah, and that's all this is. Hold on, I need to refresh this. It does that to me every now and then. My computer sucks. All right, let's continue this on. Her rape case has drawn a lot of support from her fellow artists and fans who organized free Kesha rallies scheduled for Friday. Among the many artists who have expressed their support, pop singer Lady Gaga, Adele, and Lena Dunham. I don't know if Adele is a pop singer, but I definitely know Lena Dunham is not a pop singer. But leave it to a rapist to support a woman lying about her rape. And I'm meaning Lena Dunham in that one. I don't know anything about Lady Gaga. I don't really pay attention to her. The latest development in this Kesha versus Dr. Luke war has produced more questions than answers. If Kesha once denied rape claims, then why is she receiving the same issues? Is there any motive as to why she would want to do that, considering a rape accusation could ruin her or other people's lives? What would happen if the court finds Kesha is lying about her rape by her music producer? And what's going to happen? Nothing. She will go on forever to be a victim. Feminists will say that this is proof that rape culture happens. And that will be the end of it. I mean, that'll be it. Dr. Luke will forever be seen as, oh, well, we heard that he raped, even though he was found innocent of the crime. But yeah, we're not going to work with him anymore. In fact, this could destroy Dr. Luke. And if I remember correctly, Dr. Luke is a pretty famous producer. I think I heard, like, he's, featured a lot of other artists who ended up being number ones. And this is just the state of things. I agree with Warped Reflection here. She should be jailed if she's proven to have lied. Any woman that lies about this shit should be jailed. I agree. Anyways, that does it for me today. Thank you for everyone coming out to checking out my videos. Love the comments that y'all leave. And who is this mysterious Brian she's accused of raping her? Oh, who? Who is this mysterious Brian? I thought you were like, who is this mystery? And like, okay, I don't understand that question. All right, so once again, subscribe down below. Tell your friends about me. Post me on Twitter, Facebook, usual places. Patreon is also down there. You like what I do, want to see me do more of it, definitely check that out. Also check out my book that is available on Amazon and Smashwords. You can get the free book on Smashwords. Amazon won't let me set it to free, but if you want to go to Amazon and buy it anyways as a donation, you're welcome to do so. It's only 99 cents there. But download it for free on Smashwords. Check it out if you like it, considering buying the book that comes directly after that. It's only $3. And also voice equality. Let me go back to this page. Voice equality on social media. Let's tell the world that, if you're going to have a public social media service, it needs to adhere to freedom of speech. Let's not be so concerned with people's feelings. All right? Freedom of speech does not protect against that. It only protects against if people use their speech to incite violence or to incite a crime. Then that is a violation of free speech. But free speech should be allowed across the world. So let's sign this petition here. Once again, that's voiceequality.wordpress.com. But watch out for the WordPress, for the voiceequality.com. That should be coming soon. Oh, thank you. Rambot posted it on Twitter. I guess he means my video, but yeah, thank you. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. Thank you, everyone who came out, and hopefully I'll be able to do a video on Sunday. If not, then see me next week. This is Mad Cat signing out.